The story begins with Bea rushing into a cafe, urgently asking the waitress for permission to use the restroom. The waitress denies her request, explaining that the restroom is only for paying customers. Bea, desperate, offers to make a purchase afterward, but the waitress insists she must pay first. Looking around, Bea notices a long line of customers waiting to order, making it impossible for her to pay quickly. Just as Bea starts to feel helpless, a man named Ben steps in and pretends to be her husband, claiming he's already bought something. His quick thinking forces the waitress to let Bea use the restroom. Relieved, Bea heads to the restroom, where she calls a friend to share the surprising kindness of a stranger. However, her relief is short-lived when water from the sink splashes onto her pants. Flustered, she rushes to dry them, using the hand dryer in the restroom. The process takes longer than expected, and just as she's frantically trying to finish, there's a knock at the door. Ben's voice comes through, lightly asking if everything is okay. Embarrassed, Bea hastily assures him she's fine, though her heart races as she tries to make herself presentable. Finally, she emerges, her pants mostly dry. Ben is waiting just outside the restroom, holding her jacket, which she had left behind. She thanks him awkwardly, taking it with a nervous smile and mumbling a quick goodbye. As she walks toward the exit, Ben notices paper towels clinging to the sole of her shoe. He tries to point it out, but Bea misunderstands what he's doing. Thinking he's about to confess something or ask her out, she jumps in and boldly suggests they spend more time together. Surprised but entertained by her confidence, Ben agrees, and they decide to continue their unexpected day together. They walk together through the streets, talking and laughing as they explore the city, quickly forming a bond. Their connection deepens during an evening at Ben's apartment, where they share stories about their lives. Bea, a former gymnast who is now studying law, opens up about her uncertainty regarding her career and whether becoming a lawyer is truly the right path for her. Ben, who works as a trader, shares the sentimental value of a wrench on his shelf, a gift from his late mother, who always believed that anything broken could be fixed. Despite the growing closeness, the night ends innocently, with both falling asleep on the couch. The next morning, Bea wakes up first, unsure how to handle the situation. She decides to leave the apartment without waking Ben. On her walk home, she calls her friend, sharing how wonderful her time with Ben was. However, when she admits to leaving without saying goodbye, her friend gently scolds her, reminding her it wasn't fair to leave like that. She urges Bea to go back and properly say goodbye. Taking her friend's advice, Bea heads back to Ben's apartment. At the same time, Pete, Ben's best friend, arrives at Ben's place. Ben, feeling hurt and disappointed, tells Pete about the girl he spent the evening with. As Bea approaches the apartment, she overhears him calling her clumsy and a disaster, and even saying he's relieved she left, which leaves him confused about what went wrong. Unaware that Ben is hiding his true feelings behind harsh words, Bea feels hurt and embarrassed. She quietly turns and walks away, her heart sinking as she thinks Ben saw their time together completely differently. 6 months later, Ben and Pete are invited by Claudia and Hallie to meet at a nightclub. The couple, excited about their upcoming wedding, wants to celebrate and share the news with Pete, Claudia's brother, and his friend Ben. Unbeknownst to Ben, Bea is a close friend of Claudia and Hallie, and she is also invited to the party. At the club, while Ben and Pete are catching up with Claudia and Hallie, Hallie introduces Bea to Pete as Claudia's brother, and then to Ben, mentioning they all grew up together. When Bea and Ben's eyes meet, their expressions immediately shift. They exchange a few tense words, and Claudia and Hallie quickly pick up on the tension, realizing the two already know each other. Sensing the unease, Claudia and Hallie step away, leaving Ben and Bea to their awkward moment. Trying to steer the conversation, Bea casually drops that she's engaged, leaving Ben visibly surprised. However, with Claudia and Hallie's wedding in Australia coming up, they can't escape their unresolved business. Ben boards a flight to Australia, heading to Claudia and Hallie's wedding. Coincidentally, Bea is on the same plane. When Ben notices her, he teases her about not bringing her fiancé, prompting Bea to admit she lied about being engaged. A few moments after boarding, the plane takes off. Later that night, Bea needs to use the restroom. She walks toward the first-class cabin, where she spots the bathroom. Just as she approaches, another passenger steps inside, leaving her to wait. While waiting there, she notices Ben's seat with a single cookie on his tray table. Feeling a bit mischievous, Bea decides to steal it, but in the process, her clothes get caught on his seat, leaving her stuck and unable to move. After a series of awkward efforts, she finally frees herself without waking him. Upon arriving in Australia, the group gathers at Pete's stepfather Roger's house, a beautiful property overlooking the beach. However, tension starts to build as both Ben and Bea feel uneasy about the arrangements. They learn they'll not only be sharing the house with the other wedding guests, but also with Ben's ex-girlfriend, Margaret. During a casual walk to the nearby beach with Bea and the wedding couple, Ben notices Margaret relaxing on the sand. She offers a warm, welcoming hug to Ben and introduces Beau, her partner, leaving Ben briefly unsettled as old feelings resurface. Later, inside the house, Bea's parents, Leo and Innie, arrive and start talking about her ex-fiancé Jonathan, expressing their hope that she'll get back together with him. Bea grows frustrated, having firmly decided to leave the past behind, but her parents' persistence makes things awkward. At the same time, Ben finds himself staring at an old photo of him and Margaret, lost in thought and unsure if he's truly moved on. That evening, the group gathers for a dinner party. At first, the atmosphere is lively and fun. Still, things take a chaotic turn when Ben and Bea begin bickering over a firework. Their argument escalates, and they accidentally light a firework, which hits a flower display, igniting a small fire. Panic breaks out as the flames spread and everyone shouts for help. Hallie screams when the fire comes dangerously close to her hair. In the middle of the chaos, Margaret steps forward, quickly removing her top to smother the flames. Her quick thinking stops the fire from spreading further, leaving everyone shaken but relieved. After the chaos settles and the night grows calmer, Claudia and Hallie are left visibly upset by the mishap. They quietly discuss the earlier firework mishap with Pete and Roger. Determined to avoid more disruptions, they plan to push Ben and Bea together, hoping it will help them resolve their tension. The next morning, Ben is out on the beach doing his daily workout, pushing through his routine as the sun rises. Bea enjoys a relaxing swim in the pool, soaking in the warm morning sunlight. After his workout, Ben heads to the shower, where he overhears Pete and Roger having an awkward conversation about how much Bea secretly likes him and how great they seem together. Their comments feel forced, as if they're trying too hard to sell the idea. Meanwhile, at the breakfast table, Bea overhears Claudia and Hallie awkwardly talking about how much Ben likes her, which makes her uncomfortable. As she's trying to process their strange behavior, Ben arrives and starts to say something. Before he can, Bea brings up Claudia and Hallie's awkward behavior, mentioning that it felt like they were trying to set something up. Ben agrees and adds that he overheard Pete and Roger at the shower, having an exaggerated conversation about how much he liked him. Realizing what's going on, Ben and Bea quickly catch the group scheming and decide to use it to their advantage. Later, Bea and Ben head to the beach. They swim to a small boat anchored nearby for some privacy and a chance to talk without interruptions. Once on the boat, Bea, frustrated with her parents' fixation on Jonathan, suggests they pretend to be in a relationship to deflect attention from her ex. Ben agrees, seeing it as a chance to make Margaret jealous and perhaps gain the upper hand. While they talking, Bea notices her parents showing up at the beach with Jonathan. Annoyed, she leans into Ben, acting more affectionately to make a point. Ben, a bit surprised, actually enjoys it until she hits a spot and stops her act. They both laugh and jump into the water to swim back to shore. The next morning, as everyone gets ready for a day hike, Bea introduces Ben to Jonathan. The moment is tense, with both men sharing an awkward handshake. Once the group is set, they begin the hike. Bea deliberately sticks close to Ben, leaving Jonathan behind. Visibly frustrated, he decides to stay at home with Bea's parents. After a long walk through the forest, the group reaches a breathtaking viewpoint. Ben and Bea decide it's the perfect moment to start acting like a couple. Bea leans in, kissing Ben and exchanging playful touches, assuming the others are watching. However, they fail to notice that most of the group is distracted by Pete, who has spotted a koala and is animatedly talking to it, completely oblivious to Ben and Bea's antics. As Bea's act becomes more over the top, she suddenly spots a spider inside Ben's pants. Panicking, Ben immediately strips off his pants and top, tossing them over the edge of the mountain in pure panic, making Bea laugh. Meanwhile, the rest of the group is too distracted to notice the chaos, calmly watching Pete animatedly talk to a koala. With no other option, Ben ends up wearing Bea's snug shorts. Back at the house, Bea's father Leo struggles to dive into the pool, catching Ben's attention. Ben steps in to help, teaching him how to dive with techniques he learned from his mom. Bea watches from a distance, touched by Ben's kindness. In a moment of quick thinking, she uses the opportunity to pretend they're a couple in front of her parents, leaving Leo and Innie impressed. They walk back inside hand in hand like an actual couple, unaware that others are secretly hiding nearby, watching them and believing they've truly fallen in love. Once inside, Bea thanks Ben for the kindness he shared with her father and leaves, telling him he should probably rinse off. Later that day, the group spends time at the resort. Bea plays a casual game of chess with Jonathan, who mentions he only came because her parents insisted, hinting at his hope to get back together. Bea brushes it off, treating him like family. Meanwhile, Ben spends time with Margaret, who offers him a cup of coffee, proudly calling it the best coffee in the world. As they talk, Margaret starts to grow jealous of how close Ben seems to be, making subtle remarks about their relationship. Feeling uneasy, Ben quickly excuses himself, rushes to find Bea, and tells her their plan is working, but admits Margaret's growing attention is making him uncomfortable. That evening, the group boards a boat for a party. As the night goes on, the music picks up and everyone joins the dance floor. Ben and Bea start dancing together, but it's not enough to get everyone's attention. Bea suddenly gets an idea and tells Ben to follow her to the bow of the ship. She suggests they do the famous "I'm flying" scene from Titanic. Ben hesitates, finding it cringe and awkward, but after a few arguments, he agrees. At the bow, they recreate the scene, arms spread wide and looking over the water. It works. Margaret and the others take notice, with everyone smiling and seemingly happy, as if confirming Ben and Bea's relationship. However, Margaret and Jonathan can't hide their jealousy, watching the pair closely. As Ben and Bea prepare to step away from the bow, Bea loses her footing and falls into the water. Without thinking twice, Ben jumps in to save her. After a few seconds, Hallie spots Bea and Ben in the water and quickly points them out to the others. The group on the boat panics and calls for help, but the captain can't turn around in the shallow waters. As they wait for the Coast Guard, Ben and Bea drift toward a buoy and climb aboard. In the quiet moments that follow, they share an honest conversation, apologizing to each other. Ben says he regrets what he said about Bea before, and Bea says sorry for leaving without saying goodbye. As they talk, Bea shares she left law school without telling her parents. Ben listens and reassures her as she talks about the pressure she feels. The tension between them softens as they laugh and reflect on how far they've come. When the Coast Guard finally arrives, Ben grows visibly nervous as they are airlifted back to safety, his fear of heights obvious. Sensing his anxiety, Bea begins singing the same song she heard him listening to on the plane, which calms him down. After being rescued, they are dropped off at their place by the officer. Ben thanks the officer and suggests to Bea that they share a cup of coffee. Back at home, they share a quiet moment as Ben makes Bea a grilled cheese sandwich, just like on the day they met. Their connection feels undeniable, and as they exchange glances, their feelings can no longer be ignored. A kiss in the kitchen quickly deepens, leading them to share even more. From the warmth of the shower to the quiet closeness of the bed, the night ends with the two growing closer than ever. The next morning, Ben leaves the room before sunrise, startled by the sound of Bea's mom outside the door, asking if everything is okay. When Bea wakes up and realizes he's gone, she feels a pang of sadness, mirroring how Ben had felt before. As the wedding preparations continue, Pete convinces Ben to join him to pick up flowers. During the trip, Pete playfully probes Ben about his relationship with Bea. When Ben hesitates and admits he's unsure about their future, Pete jokingly slaps him with a bouquet and reminds him not to miss out on someone special. Meanwhile, Bea and Margaret head to pick up the wedding cake. During their conversation, Bea accidentally reveals that her relationship with Ben isn't serious. Margaret seizes the opportunity to express her interest in talking to Ben, and Bea reluctantly agrees. Back at the house, tensions rise when Bea's parents confront her about dropping out of law school. Believing Ben had spilled the secret, Bea lashes out at him when he arrives with the flowers. During the heated argument, Pete reveals he let the secret slip to the parents after Ben mentioned it during a casual conversation. As the argument escalates, Pete's dog drags a toy on the table where the wedding cake is placed, causing the cake box to topple over and smash the cake to the ground, making the situation even worse. However, the misunderstanding is cleared up when it's revealed that Pete had accidentally let the secret slip, not Ben. Embarrassed and frustrated, Bea storms off, leaving Ben to process the fallout. Despite the commotion, the wedding preparations move forward. On the big day, Ben overhears Claudia and Hallie arguing, blaming the chaos on him and Bea. Concerned, he approaches Bea and suggests they put their differences aside for the sake of the wedding. Together, they apologize to the couple, smoothing things over, and the ceremony proceeds without further issues. At the reception, Ben watches Bea from afar, unable to shake his feelings for her. Margaret, seizing the moment, asks Ben to dance. She confesses that she broke up with Beau and is still in love with him. Before Ben can respond, Margaret kisses him. Bea, standing nearby and watching the moment unfold, feels heartbroken and quietly leaves the party. Realizing his feelings for Bea, Ben pulls away from Margaret and tells her that he no longer feels the same way. He learns from Claudia and Hallie that Bea left for the Sydney Opera House, a place she had always wanted to visit. Without wasting any time, Ben runs toward the edge of the coast, shouting to his friends to call the Coast Guard before jumping into the sea. In a few minutes, the Coast Guard arrives, lifting him aboard. During the ride, he urgently asks them to take him to the opera house. Bea stands alone at the opera house, watching the people around her, feeling a little lost. Suddenly, Ben appears, drenched but determined. He jumps out of the helicopter and runs straight toward her. Seeing him, Bea's face lights up with a smile, her emotions catching up with the moment. Ben catches his breath and starts explaining everything, what happened with Margaret and how it made him realize that Bea is the only one he wants to be with. Bea, moved by his honesty, steps closer. They share a romantic kiss, finally letting their feelings show. The two return to the reception, where they are met with cheers from their friends and family. The DJ playfully cues up the song Bea sang to calm Ben during their rescue, prompting everyone to join in, teasing Ben in good fun. The reception turns into a lively celebration with everyone dancing and enjoying the moment. Meanwhile, Margaret and Jonathan, now a couple, share smiles and laughs before sealing the moment with a sweet kiss to close the evening. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for more videos like this. There are amazing stories coming your way. Take care and see you next time.